Alright, it is a very cold morning, at least to me. Californians don't understand the cold. I'm one of them. So, we are gonna start taking apart the transmission tunnel, taking off the master and the slave. Right now, my goal is to get the transmission tunnel out, so let's get started on that. I found a guide online for removing the transmission, which you have to do the tunnel to get that out. So I think I'll link that down below, and you guys can follow along if you want. But first, we got 2 radio screws. I might need 2 hands, but I'll loosen them. And then down below here is the 2 for the trans tunnel, I believe. And they look like 10s. Oh, this one's loose. No, not 10s. I think they're 11s. But I got this out with my finger. No, the other one's too tight. And actually, I believe they don't use metric in this car. They use the imperial size. So whatever that is in the imperial. Alright, got the radio off. There was a nut on the very back. Very tiny. So I was able to just use my hand to hold it while I spun. The other one, I dropped one of them back here, but I'm pulling this cover off anyway, so I'll be able to find it. Alright, so I guess this must be the H bracket. I've been reading people saying the H bracket's hard to put in. I'm guessing that's this right here. Pulling the radio out, no big deal. There's plenty of room from behind. Alright, let's get these bolts out and then see if this wants to start moving. Alright, the 4 bolts on the side ended up being 12s. I don't know what that is in Imperial, but 12 worked. I took the gear shift knob off because it said to, which I don't know if you have to, but it's easy, it just unscrews. Yeah, so I know this part just slides out. Let's give myself a little room. There we go. I can stand in the back. Okay, so this has 2 Phillips screws on the sides. Yep, 1 on each side, and then this will come out. Alright, here we go. That's easy enough. There's actually quite a bit more room when that's not there. So if you want to make like a maybe 3D print and then vinyl cover, a little cover over just the parking brake, that would kind of be interesting. Alright, so these just pop out. Interesting. Here's another one with, and if you don't know, that's a good place to keep your insurance and registration, just under one of those covers. Since the only other spot is in there and anyone can just walk up and take your papers, so. Alright, so it says it can just pop out now, I believe. I don't believe there's anything else holding it in. I'm going to look over the instructions again, and then we'll figure it out. Alright, this H bracket center dash support just slides out. Not too bad. You have to kind of maneuver the carpet out of the way to let the legs slide out. Definitely going to want this down into 2nd or 4th. Not too bad though. I can see how it's probably a struggle to get back in though, so we'll deal with that when that comes. Alright, I'm trying to avoid having to remove the seats and the carpet, so we'll see. So the carpet just slides right out. You got to kind of maneuver it. Looks like previous owner wired in their own speaker wire, and they did it right through this hole that they cut in the carpet, and there's no disconnects, so I have no way to remove this. So I'm just gonna snip all these wires. Yeah, I'm just gonna snip all these wires, and then I'll have to create connectors for them so they can be disconnected and all that. So you don't have to snip them every time you want to pull the carpet out. Yeah, but they're all speaker wires. This is a pretty big ground though, so this ground honestly might be for something else. I guess we'll find out. Got the carpet out, so you did need the ship knob off in order to clear the boot. As you can see, the wires, they actually ran the same wires, the same green and black, or brown, and green and brown on this side, so I'll have to test for continuity to figure out which is which. This big black one was actually a radio antenna, so I don't know if this is a factory one or what, but I mean, there's no reason to cut a hole. I believe it can just loop around, so I don't understand. Alright, well, now we got to pull this trans cover off, I guess. I don't know if there's any other bolts. I'll look. Alright, got the trans cover out. Yeah, they put some weather stripping glue in here, like adhesive, to glue it in so no moisture gets in, and they put a thick barrier. My understanding is you don't need to put any weather stripping. I mean, you're gonna have carpet over it and the sound editing. I don't know, that was a lot of prying out that weather stripping I had to do. As you can see, it looks like the back shaft of the trans possibly is leaking oil or gear fluid. It definitely has a leak somewhere. Could be coming from where the shifter's sucking, because that's all wet. But yeah, it's very interesting how tiny this thing is and how it's just right here, easy to access. You can literally press the clutch pedal and crack the bleeder on the slave cylinder at the same time. That's the slave cylinder right there. So it actually looks like the slave cylinder isn't bad, but my rule of thumb is always to replace the master and the slave cylinder at the same time. You don't know if they were, and they usually fail around the same time. So, alright, here we are underneath the car. I'm gonna break the clutch line off of the slave cylinder right here. I'm gonna put a rack here just so nothing gets on the interior of the car. Let's see, what is this? 7/16. I think I need 2 hands. Alright, not that much fluid came out. The reservoir was empty, so no big deal. Line's off. Now I'm going to take out that pinch bolt and then wiggle the slave cylinder out. Alright, got the slave cylinder out. You can take just the top pinch bolt off, but I took the 2 and the pinch bolt because this is pretty stuck in there, so I'm going to have to pry this out. Very dirty. You can actually see the slave cylinder did fail. It was leaking out of this seal. Alright, taking the master cylinder off, got the line off. Under here, this is the rod for the clutch pedal, and then 2 bolts on each side. Alright, here's the master cylinder. Really simple to take out on this car. So, we got the master and the slave out, and now we're just waiting on the new parts to come. This one definitely seems rebuildable. This one is very corroded, I guess would be the word. Most of it's on the outside, but there's definitely some goo on the inside, and I don't know if this one's actually salvageable, but this one's definitely rebuildable. However, we're just going to replace them. New parts look better anyways. I'm going to apologize ahead of time. It's dark, it's late at night, and I need to get this done. So, got the master cylinder right here, and over here is the slave cylinder, brand new. Very neat. I definitely want to disassemble the old parts and just see if they were rebuildable or not. And if they are, then I don't know, maybe I will rebuild them and sell them or something. This is aluminum, yeah. Yeah, this is aluminum here. Yep. It's not magnetic, so it's aluminum. So I don't need to worry about it surface rusting,
you know, flash rusting, that's the word. I don't need to spray it with clear coat to keep it shiny or anything. So we're going to go ahead, install this. I'm going to bench bleed it on the car. I believe it's pretty flat on the car, so we're just going to do that. Just kidding, I just looked and it was mounted more of an angle like that, or maybe it was like that. Definitely wasn't straight, so I'm just going to set it on the side of my toolbox, use my hand, 2 hands, and pump it and bleed it that way. So got the new master and the slave cylinder in. We bled it a bunch and it still feels like there's air or something. The clutch is not able to release, so I can put it into gear. If you start it in reverse with the clutch on the floor, it takes off. So clutch is not working correctly, and it's a symptom similar to as if there was air in it. So I was reading down here, you see that hole, there's supposed to be a little pin that is like a pivot pin for the clutch fork arm, and it's not there. I see metal everywhere and it's not there. So if you want an easy trick to tell if it's there or if it fell out, it's on its way out or something, you can look at it from above. This is passenger side of the transmission. Stick a bright zip tie down in the hole and then drop it down. See the top of the zip tie there, and bottom of the zip tie there. So that's a real easy way to tell the clutch, pivot, fork, pin, whatever it's called, fell out. So we're gonna come up with a plan to replace it and try to get this fixed without having to pull the transmission. Okay, so down here under the car, I just got a 5/16 bolt. 5/16. This is a 4-inch long 5/16. Fits right in. I'm gonna put a nut on the other side and tighten it up, and that's not gonna go anywhere. So that was one issue, but we still had another issue. It still wasn't engaging, allowing me to get into gear. So I looked under here. I noticed the clutch pedal hole was worn and ovaled, and now it's completely ripped. So yeah, there's a hole in there. This is not salvageable. Yeah, I have to place an order for a new clutch pedal, and that stinks because I wanted to drive this car tomorrow, but there's no way. So I gotta order a new clutch pedal now, get that in there, and that should take care of all the clutch problems. Alright, Triumph is drivable now. Interior still needs to be put together. I'm going to work on that now, but I finally got it driving. So we replaced master, replaced the slave cylinder, ended up dropping a bolt into where the pin is supposed to be for the clutch fork arm. Added this nice Diet Coke can. This is going to be my new washer fluid reservoir. Someone pointed out that I was missing it, so I want to see if this actually works. And so I ended up replacing the clutch pedal as well. Wait a few days for that. Where it bolts up here was completely broke. So we got a new used clutch pedal, but this one actually looked like it was kind of restored. The pad on it's pretty nice. I have a new pad, so I'm just going to throw it on the brake pad, and then I'll have 2 good looking pads. Yeah. So even with the new clutch pedal installed, it still wasn't enough to get me into gear. It's like there wasn't enough throw in the clutch to actually engage the gears. So you have 2 options. I'll show you on this old slave cylinder. So the slave has this indent where it can slide into the bracket that bolts it to the transmission. So you can extend it, and actually it looks like this was extended already. It looks like it went both ways. Yeah, it looks like someone definitely cut this up. So you can extend it in order to push it closer to this transmission, or the clutch, so that you get more throw, and that's exactly what I needed. But rather than cut up a brand new slave cylinder, which there's nothing wrong with the slave cylinder, it's the worn down pin or the clutch fork arm inside the transmission area, which you have to drop the transmission to do. So a workaround for that, I read about this, people doing this online, figured I'd give it a shot. Worst case, if it fails, you have no clutch, you can at least stop and then get towed home. So no big deal to me. I'm just going to ride this out until the clutch completely fails, and then I'm going to replace everything inside there. So what I did was I attached a socket to the arm, or the rod for the clutch fork. It's attached to the clutch fork, so I just attached this in. It gives me about half of this, because you see the indent inside. So I get just a little bit more, just a few millimeters more room of space, and that was enough throw for me. What I did was I taped the socket, or actually I wrapped tape around the end of the pin, and then I stuck the socket on, got it nice and tight so it wouldn't fall off by itself, so then I could just slide the new slave cylinder right into it, and that seemed to work. I did end up adjusting the slave cylinder back away from the transmission as far as it could to account for the extra long rod that's in there. Now, I know they do make adjustable rods, but this problem is a worn down rod or and a worn down clutch fork, which you gotta drop the transmission to do that. So one day I will, but I'm gonna enjoy this clutch for as long as it has left in it. But yeah, it's shifting way better. The throw definitely was not enough when I got the car. Sometimes it was hard to get into first gear, sometimes other gears, especially reverse. But now it's like butter smooth to shift no matter what gear. So yeah, clutch parts were just wearing down and slowly replacing them. So I'm going to put the interior in now, and then I'll get back to you when this car is all finished. If you're thinking about replacing your transmission tunnel, this is the part that goes under the carpet with the insulation in here. Definitely go for the composite one, not the fiberglass one. I don't remember if it's composite or something else, maybe plastic, but go for that, not the fiberglass one. You're going to want it to be flexible. I can already imagine, even though this is the flexible one, it's going to be a pain. You can see it's been ripping. This really should be replaced, but it's going under carpet. This car, even though most of the interior is nice, the underneath of this car is really not that pretty, so I'm not going to worry about it. This insulation has seen better days, but again, not in the scope of this vehicle. Got the car all back together. Gonna pull it out and go on a little actual test drive. Alright, so you can see the interior is all back put together. It's not too bad. It took me a lot longer than it should have. The glue, it needs to be re-glued. Yeah, I'll have to deal with that eventually. That radio might fall out as I'm driving. Alright. And let's just see if I can get into reverse without having to shift into like third or fourth beforehand. Man, I couldn't do that before. First, second, third, fourth. And then I'll go clutch in, up, and over. A little crunch, but that's normal on manual transmissions. Alright, I need two hands to drive, but yeah, it's working. Alright,
Alright, the Spitfire is good to go. I'm gonna road test it, but if you don't hear back from me, that means everything went good. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.